Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to our third Planbook Live. We are super excited to chat with you all today. We're going to go over a few different topics today, and we have one of our specialists, Shelby, who will be presenting to you on those topics. But we wanted to first just give you a little overview of the format, since it's a little bit different than some of the professional development that we've offered previously here at Planbook. So as we said, Shelby's going to go topic by topic and provide you with some video and some examples of how to do different things to get started with your school year in Planbook. Our chat is not open, but after each topic, we'll pause and open our question and answer, and that will be a box that will come up on your screen and allow you to type in questions, and we will answer those. We do ask that each question that is asked is really related to the topic that Shelby is presenting on. We know that everybody has lots of questions and we want to get to as many of those as we can, but because we're on a limited time frame, we need to make sure that those questions are related to the topic that she's covering. If you have questions outside of that or need any technical support, we can jump down to that last blue bullet and you can see our email address there at support@planbook.com. You are welcome to email us those kind of off-topic or technical support questions. At the end of the session, we will be posting this recording on YouTube, and then we will also be sending you an email that will not only have a link to the recording, but it will also have a professional development certificate. If your school or district will accept that as a professional development hour, we would be happy to support you with that.
Hi all, as Sarah said, at the end of each section, we are going to open up our Q&A so you can ask questions and we can answer some for you within the chat and live on screen. So you're going to see down toward the bottom right hand of your Google Meet screen, there is the activities icon. It looks like the triangle, square, and circle. If you click on that, you can also access the Q&A right from here. So when we are doing this at the end of each section, you're going to hopefully please remember to ask topic related questions only. This will help us really stay on what we are talking about after Shelby is presenting. So for example, Shelby will talk to us about how to create a new school year, and then we ask that all of those questions relate to creating a new school year only. All other questions, like Sarah had said, can be sent to us at support@planbook.com, and Q&A is only going to be open during certain times throughout the meeting. This is going to help to keep distractions low so that Shelby can present and everybody's able to see and hear her content. So right now we're going to take a minute to test the Q&A feature about the whole meeting format. Sarah has just opened the Q&A. So if you go to the activities icon, you can open it up and you can ask a question. Let us know where you're from, say hello, just let us know that it's working. Perfect, somebody's testing, that's great. Perfect, I see a lot of hellos coming in. Thank you so much for joining us. Just make sure that you're able to access this feature right now as a test so that we can use it later on in the presentation. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for testing this with us. We'll keep it open for another few seconds, and then we will allow Shelby to take over.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We know how precious your time is here right at the beginning of the school year. It's kind of crunch time, so we really, really value the time that you're spending with us today. My name is Shelby, and I'm going to be presenting today. I just wanted to quickly go over today's agenda before we jump right in. We are going to go over our interface overview first, just kind of like where everything is in Planbook, how to navigate to those different features. From there, we're going to add a new school year and set up our class schedule. After that, we will update our lesson layout, create events, and then finally begin planning. So to start, let's talk a little bit about our Planbook interface. So here on this left-hand side is going to be the Planbook menu bar. So that's going to be where you live primarily. It's where most of our features that you'll be using day to day are located. In the top left corner is going to be your plans display, where you can adjust your the view of your plans to day, week, month, list, etc. In the middle is going to be your school year navigation bar, so you can access your past years and your plan dates there. And then you have on the top right-hand corner is the add, copy, search, and export. Export's going to be how you export your plans either to a Google Doc or to a PDF to get those printed out. And then we have our user settings in that top right-hand corner. And to go a little bit more in depth in our user settings, so this is going to be where all of your account settings are, including your display settings and then your lesson layouts, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in just a bit. And then at the very bottom of user settings is our help section, which is super, super great. You can access that at any time. You can see there's a little contact us icon where you can contact us directly. We also have our knowledge base linked there, which is going to be all of our how-to articles, along with all of our YouTube tutorials there at the very bottom. So super helpful. If you ever run into trouble, that's probably going to be the first place that you go. All right, guys. So when you're adding a new school year, so you've had the summer off, you're coming back, it's August, you're logging into your Planbook account, you will either have this little pop-up here on the left that says, hey, it looks like you're ready to add a new school year. And then you would select that little add a school year button there. If that little pop-up doesn't come up for you, that is totally okay. You can still add your school year by navigating to that left side of your screen and then selecting school years from the Planbook bar. So either one of those will get you to where you need to be. And it will then bring up your school years page. You might have previous years in there, but this little type section here is going to let you know whether the school year was teacher created, so whether you created it, or if your administrator created it, it's going to say school under the type. So that's the way that you can tell the difference between those two. But from here, you're going to go to your top right-hand corner and hit that little plus sign to either add a new year, so add a teacher year, or you can hit that plus sign to add your add year that they have created for you. So you'll hit that plus sign. And then if your administrator has created a school year for you, you're going to have this little pop-up that says, good news, your school or district has added a school year, and you have the option then to adopt that school year that they have created for you. So in this case, my administrator has made the 24-25 school year, and I would hit the red button to continue. So from there, once you hit continue, you will give your school year a name there at the very top. You will then enter your start and end dates for your school year. And from there, it's going to ask which classes that you would like to copy from a previous school year. So you can then make that selection below, whether you want to copy all of those classes over. If you don't want to copy any classes over and you want to start fresh, that's okay too. But you would just toggle your choice there. And then you would hit continue. And it's going to add that new school year for you. Actually, let me back up a little bit. So once you hit continue, it is going to ask you one more question. It is going to ask you to select the information from that previous school year that you want to copy over. And then you would just toggle on and off the things that you want to copy over. Maybe you want to keep your class lessons, but you don't want to keep your class assignments. That's totally fine. Just toggle on and off of those selections, and then you would hit add school year, and it is going to generate that year for you. All right, so now we will go ahead and open up our Q&A. If anyone has questions about adding that new school year.
Garrett, we are currently using our Q&A feature. So if you can type that over on as a question, that would be great. Ooh, really great question about starting over. Yes, you can always delete a school year. What you'll want to make sure that you're doing is whatever school year you're wanting to import or build from. So if I am creating a 24-25 school year, I want to make sure that if I delete that school year, I mark my 23-24 school year as current, because whatever year is marked as current is going to be your base for pulling content from. So if I want to import my classes and lessons from the previous year, then I need to make sure that previous year is marked as current, because that's going to be the year that Planbook looks to bring over information. And then if you're an admin and you've created a new school year and there's a certain teacher that can't see it, we want to make sure that those teachers are shown on your teacher list. So if they're not on your teacher list, that means that they're not connected to your school and they wouldn't be able to see that school year. Also, if you're an administrator and you have a dual user account, you'll want to make sure that that school year is created in the admin mode of your account, because if it's created in the teacher mode, then only you as a teacher would be able to access that. And if you're just starting with Planbook, the process for creating a school year is exactly the same as what Shelby just shared from you. You just won't be able to import anything because there's no basis to pull in from. Oh, I love this suggestion from Daniel about using a naming structure when you're naming your classes. He likes to add the classes I taught in the name of the school year to remind me what I taught and when. I think that's such a great idea. Also, if you teach multiple classes of the same, so if you teach 3 sections of biology, using a naming structure for that biology, you know, one will really help you keep yourself organized. We'll take a few more questions and we'll really try to work to provide resources in the chat for any others.
I see a question about adding the calendar from a previous year. Will Planbook auto-populate the lessons into your new year? Yes. So on that second page that Shelby showed, if you select to copy your lessons over, it will auto-populate them into then the correct school dates in your new year.
Great, thanks, Hannah. Well, I think that's the time we're going to give for adding a new school year. So Shelby, if you want to jump on, we'll work to address any other questions in the chat, but go ahead, Shelby.
All right, guys, moving right along. Next thing we're going to talk about is setting up that class schedule. So to do this, you are going to navigate to the left side of your screen to the Planbook bar and select the Classes tab there. And from there, you are going to begin setting up your schedule. First thing you're going to want to do is add those classes. So we're navigating over to that Classes tab. And then we are going to go to the top right-hand corner and hit Add Class. That's going to give us a new little class box down at the very bottom. So we'll go ahead and give the class a name. This one we're going to do dismissal. If we want, we can go ahead and select a color for that class. And then we will hit that green check mark to go ahead and apply it to our schedule. We also have the option to select more options, that little gear, and that will open up the class dialog box to add more details to that class. So if you actually decide you don't want to call it dismissal, you want to give it a change super quickly, you can do all of those things from that section there. Now, if you have current classes that maybe got copied over from last year, once those are in there or once your new class is in there, you can hover over that and click Edit. And just like hitting that More Options gear, it's going to open your Edit Class dialog box where you can adjust the color of a class, you can adjust the format of a class. You can change the start and end dates here. If you toggle off the Use School Start and Use School End buttons there, it will give you the ability to change those dates. And then farther down is going to be your Edit Schedule box, which we will talk a little bit more about here in just a second. All right, guys, so from that Edit Schedule box, if you hit that Edit Schedule button right there in that top right corner, you can go ahead and start giving that class a time. Actually, let me back up a little bit. It looks like this one started in the middle. There we go. All right, so you're going to hit that little Edit Schedule button there. And this little dialog box will pop up. I usually just hit skip so that it'll go ahead and edit that current schedule. And then it's going to bring you to a blank slate where you can put in your times for that particular class. You can also toggle on and off certain days. So for example, maybe this class just meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I could toggle off Tuesday, Thursday. And from there, I can start inputting my start and end times for this dismissal class that we just created. And from there, what I can do is hit the little copy icon there where the two little papers are stacked on top of each other. And I can copy that time to all of the days that I've scheduled the class for, just so I don't have to copy the times over and over again. So now I've got all those times applied for Monday through Friday, and I'm going to hit that check mark in the top right to then save those changes. Now, if we scroll down, I have got my dismissal class scheduled there from 2 to 2:30 at the very bottom of my schedule. Another way that you can schedule your classes is with our drag and drop feature, which I personally love. It's super quick and easy, but the way that you can do that, say you just added a brand new class, we've got our new dismissal class there, and we want to use the drag and drop. So we would go to this top right corner and hit edit schedule. And what that's going to do is make all of our classes drag and droppable. So you can see that I am dragging dismissal all the way down to where I need it to start at 2 p.m. And when I let it go, it's going to ask me to just confirm that time range. So you can update the start or end time further if you need. And then it's going to ask me if I want that change to be made to just one day or to all of the days. In this case, we're going to apply it to all days. And we can see that we've got dismissal right down there where we want it. And then to save those changes, we're going to hit the done button in that top right corner. And once we do that, it's going to make all of our classes now fixed into that schedule, and they will not be able to be dragged and dropped anymore. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions about adding classes or scheduling classes.
Hi, Hildy. That's a great question. She says, should I add extra days before and after the actual school dates to accommodate changes made during the year? I think that this works in a few different ways, and my colleagues can agree or disagree, but I would say the biggest thing is to not make any changes to the school year once your teachers have connected and everybody's kind of started to plan. You can always add in the dates in advance so that that does not happen, especially toward the end, I would suggest, because any plans that get pushed out farther will get deleted if any changes are made. But the biggest thing we would suggest is not editing your school year once it has been created.
Along those same lines, if you accidentally delete a class on a certain day, let's say you go in and you click to remove a class, you can easily go back in where we were editing the class and unselect that removal, and that will automatically add it right back in, and you'll be prompted, as you will several times when you make changes in Planbook, about whether or not you'd like to shift your lessons back to cover that date.
Shelby, we have a few questions that look like the alternate schedule feature would be a really great spot to show how to do this for both Hildy and Diana. Multiple schedules, different grade levels, and how to add those into your plans.
Yeah, absolutely. So to do an alternate day schedule, let me switch over to my Planbook account here. Okay, so what you would do is, I want to say it would be under our classes. Yeah, so then we would have, you can see I've got my regular schedule set up here, and I have already a Wednesday schedule, so that's going to be an alternate day. So if I pull that one up, it might be, maybe it's a half day schedule, or maybe it is, so like an early release, or maybe like a 2-hour delay schedule. So what you would do is you would pop into here and you would hit add alternate day. So you would go ahead, give it a title. And so what it's going to do is give you the option to then add your classes to that schedule, and create it so that whenever you do have, you know, that early dismissal or 2-hour delay, or maybe you have an alternating block schedule where one of the days is fixed, you can then schedule that into your plans, so that you don't have to kind of move your lessons around each time.
Shelby, it looks like we might have some questions about if you have a cycle schedule. Do you mind just showing, I know it's part of the school years page, but just showing where teachers can create that cycle schedule so that they can
Yeah.
is based on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is going to be here on the left side, our Planbook bar, down under school years. So say that you are on an A-B schedule or something similar to that. When you are adding your school year, it will actually give you, let me go to one that is a teacher one. And this one actually is already on a cycle schedule. So what you would do is under this section that says classes are scheduled, if it's a cycle schedule, you would go ahead and select the one that says on a cycle of, and then you would input the number of days that are in your cycle. So for example, for this school year, it's an A-B cycle. So it's just that 2-day cycle there. And you can actually rename your cycle days as well. So I've got A day and B day. And you can go ahead and save it from there. And I can also show you guys kind of what that schedule looks like when you set it up that way. So if I go into my cycle schedule year, so I've got my A day, I've got my B day, and as you can see, my schedule is different depending on the day. So if I go into those classes, I can go ahead and schedule my A day classes, which same kind of procedure. You could either do it with the lesson editing feature, or you can hit edit schedule in the top right-hand corner. This is a previous school year, so I don't have my edit schedule quite yet or anymore just because the school year has passed. But that is a way that you can then schedule specific classes to your A day and B day for those alternating days.
Thank you so much, Shelby. So I think that is all the time we have for this section. I did just put a link to how to add classes and edit your schedule in the chat. And Shelby's going to move on and keep going with the presentation.
All right, guys, thank you so much for those great questions. Moving forward, we are going to now talk about lesson layouts and getting those updated. So in Planbook, your lesson layout is going to be these little tabs that show up across the top of your lesson whenever you're planning. So for example, in this account, we've got standards, daily targets, lesson, classwork / homework, etc. What's great about these is that they are totally customizable in Planbook. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. So the way to navigate to your lesson layouts is going to be by going to your top right-hand corner and selecting user settings. And from there, you're going to click the lesson layouts tab. And you've got two options when it comes to your lesson layout. You can either create your own, or you can select a school layout that perhaps an administrator has made for you. So you'll be able to tell which one is which under the little type signifier here. If it says teacher, that's going to be one that you created and that you can totally personalize. And then school is going to be one that your admin has created for you. All right, so in the case that your admin has created one for you, it is going to say school next to it. And when you mark it as current there by hitting the little star, it's just going to set it as your default lesson layout. From there, you can hit customize. And there are a few things that you can change in your school layout. You can hit that little format button there. And you can adjust the font. You can also adjust the color as well. You can have it underlined, italicized. So all of those options will be right there for you to access under the edit format. And then you'll hit done to save those changes. And once you've made all the changes that you wish to make to each of those headers, you can hit the check mark in the top right-hand corner to save that layout. And then to create your own lesson layout, you will hit that plus sign in the top right corner that says Add Lesson Layout. or you can hit the edit if you have, usually it'll drop a little default one in there for you, so you can also hit edit there, but it'll bring up the same box regardless, looks the exact same, but you will give the layout a name. And everything from here on is super, super customizable. You can edit the title of your sections by hitting the little pencil. And that will give you a little dialog box where you can then change that text. You also have the option to enable and disable your text boxes by hitting the enable and disable bubbles there. So if you have some that you don't want to use, you can always disable those. You can also quickly reorder your sections by grabbing those little parallel arrows there. And it's a little drag and drop function. And similarly to when we were customizing the admin generated lesson layout, we can also hit that same format button there. And it will give us the same options to change our font size, bolding, italicizing, underlining, all of that jazz. And then we'll hit done there to get out of that dialog box. And then to save all of our changes overall, we're going to hit, again, that little check mark in the top right-hand corner. And then that's going to apply all of those changes to your lesson layout. All right, guys, any questions about creating a lesson layout, editing a lesson layout?
We'll give just a second more for any questions. So far, you have none, which means you must all be experts at creating lesson layouts, which is wonderful. Yes, if you change the format of your lesson layout, things are going to update in your account for any classes that have that lesson layout applied. Anna, to answer your question, if you have a lesson plan layout that you're currently using on another platform, you would just need to recreate that in Planbook. So we'd be happy to help you with that, but it's the same process as Shelby just shared. There's not a way to import, perhaps, like if you're thinking a Google Doc, there's not a way to import a Google Doc and make those into lesson layout sections, but you could easily create those same sections within the Planbook lesson layout feature. All right, Shelby, questions have been pretty quiet, so we'll go ahead and close our Q&A and move on to our next section.
All right, moving right along here. All right, next we're going to talk about how to add in your events. So to get to your events page, that is going to be on the left-hand side of your screen in the Planbook bar. And you would hit that little events tab. And again, under the little type signifier here, if an administrator has created an event for you, maybe they've gone in and went ahead and put in your winter break and your spring break, things like that, it will say school for the type. But if it is one that you've entered, it's going to be teacher for the type. So to add a new event, you will hit that plus sign there in the top right-hand corner. And you can then add it from the events page. But you can also add an event straight from the plans page, and it brings up the same exact dialog box. So I want to show you how to do that as well. So to add an event straight from your plans page, you can hover over the day that you want to add an event to and hit that 3-dot action icon there and hit add an event. Then you will go ahead and give it a title. And again, this will look the exact same as if you're doing it in the events page of your plan book. But the event date is already in there because we specified it. And since we know that this is Labor Day and it's going to be a no school day, we can go ahead and mark that no school day and hit save. And since it's a no school event, it's then going to ask us if we want those lessons to be shifted to accommodate for the no school event. So whether we want those lessons to be shifted forward or if we do not want those lessons to be shifted. So in this case, we do want to shift our lessons forward to accommodate that no school day so we can stay right on track. And then once that saves, we can see that we've got our Labor Day event and it has shifted all of our lessons forward for us. And actually, before I move on, I want to say one more thing about that. If you end up adding an event that is a no school day by accident and you're like, oh no, how do I take that off? How do I get my plans back? That is a pretty easy fix, actually. You would just go into and find that event in your events page, just toggle off that little box that said no school day, and then you would save it. And then it'll ask you, hey, do you want us to bump your lessons back for you? And then you would just tell them to go ahead and shift backwards. And then you've got everything back to where you need it. Another thing that you can do in events, which is one of my personal favorite features in Planbook, is our stickers. So when you have an event at the top of a day, you can hit that 3-dot action icon and hit add sticker. And we have stickers for just about everything you can possibly think of. First day of school, field trips, birthdays, Halloween, Christmas. We have IEP meetings. We have parent-teacher conferences, bus duty, morning duty. So these are just a great way to add a little more visual interest to your plans. Yeah, just give you another kind of visual cue in terms of those events. So any questions about adding events, adding stickers, getting those no school days in?
That's
Yes,
correct.
actually,
Okay.
that's correct. Oh, sorry, reporter.
Hey, at least we're very aligned, Shelby. That's right. If you don't have plans to shift in there, you don't even need to worry about shifting. Correct. And yes, Allison, you can hyperlink in your lesson plans. You can add hyperlinks in there. Some people use it to hyperlink to a video, sometimes a Google Doc that they either they want to have access to or they want their students to have access to. Shelby, they're also asking if you can show one more time where to go for stickers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me hop over into my account real quick. Okay, so if you want to add a sticker straight to an event, this one already has one, as you can see, but you would hit that little 3-dot action icon here and hit edit. and then one more 3-dot action icon there and hit edit sticker. And in this case, if you didn't have a sticker, it would say add sticker. So you could add it that way. So it's always going to be under that little 3-dot action icon there that you can add. But you can also do it from the events page here on the left. So if you select an event, let's see if I can find a teacher one. It might be all school ones, but essentially it would be the same thing. You would go over, hit your 3-dot action icon, and it would give you the option to then add a sticker.
I think the last question that we'll take is just if you have an A-B schedule and you do shift your lessons, what will happen? An A lesson will shift down to the next A day and a B lesson will shift to the next B day. And so they do shift as you would want them to. Just an A day won't shift to a B day. So with that, we will transition to our next section. Go ahead, Shelby.
All right, guys, next we are going to start the planning process. All right, so you can add a new lesson from your plans page by selecting the class that you want to plan for. So I might want to add a writing lesson here. I can then give that lesson a title there in the title field right there. And from there, I am just going to use my lesson layout tabs to then begin filling in my content below. So I can attach my standards by hitting that plus sign there, add my daily targets, my lesson content, etc. So another really super important thing, speaking of standards, is how to add a standards framework. For many of our new users, when you first open your standards, Common Core is what's going to be preloaded. But in Planbook, we have so many standards frameworks. We have state standards, we have international standards, pretty much we have archdiocese standards and diocese standards. But in order to add those, so you can add them to your drop down and easily access them, you can click into any lesson from your plans page. So I can click into that writing there. You'll hit your standards tab and then hit that little plus sign. And as we can see here, we've got the Common Core preloaded, but we want to add our state standards. So we're going to hit that little plus sign that says Add Frameworks. From here, I can search for my state standards. In this case, Illinois, and we're going to check those and hit the save button, and then that is going to save that as my default standards frameworks is going to be the Illinois state standards. So from there, it's going to then prompt me to add my standard subjects that I need. So I can go ahead and click to check mark all of the subjects that I need. And same kind of process. Once I get all of those selected, I can hit my check mark in the top right-hand corner to save all of the subjects that I need. And the good thing is that once I do this that first time, now those are going to be set as the default in those drop-down menus. So I won't have to do the process of hitting the plus sign every time. Now they will just be preloaded. I can also change my grade level here. Also super helpful, I can search by standards categories. So in this case, for my writing, I can go to text types and purposes, for example. And then to add those standards, I can then check mark them and hit save. And now I have added that standard to my lesson. I hit save one more time. And now we can then see it from the plans page. Another super helpful feature in Planbook is our lesson actions menu. So you can access this by hovering over any lesson from your plans page. So you can see on this left side, I'm hovering over that math lesson and hitting that little 3-dot action icon. You will find that in Planbook, the 3-dot action icon will quickly become your best friend. That's the ticket to many a thing in Planbook. But once you do that, the lesson actions menu will then appear. And these are all the options that it will give you for a lesson. So for example, you can edit the lesson from there. You can bump lessons forward and backward. So for example, say so I have my math lessons here on, the 27th, but we get to school on the 27th and there's a surprise assembly that we didn't know about, or there was a fire drill. And we actually need to bump that math lesson to tomorrow because we didn't even have math that day. So then we can go ahead and bump that forward. And then it's going to bump all of our lessons forward by 1 day. We can also change that if we need to bump forward more. Same kind of thing with bumping backward. We do always like to caution with bumping backward. When you bump backward, it will overwrite the lessons that it's bumping over. But there is also a little dialog box that'll pop up and say, hey, are you sure you want to bump backward? It's going to overwrite those previous lessons. So there is that little fail safe there as well. Similarly, we have extend lesson and extend standard. So say, Tuesday, August 27th, we start that, intro to multiplication lesson day 2. We don't finish it all and we need to continue it into Wednesday. So I want to quickly extend that lesson. I can extend it by 1 day by hitting extend lesson. Same thing with standards. If I know that my standards are going to need to continue over to the next day or next couple of days, same kind of thing. So there's just a couple of things in the lesson actions menu that you can access at any time. Again, just by clicking the 3-dot action icon on any lesson. All right, guys, any questions about getting started with planning or adding your frameworks and standards?
Shelby, do you want to show how on the plans page you can access last year lesson plans?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me pop on over and share that.
In the meantime,
Really
I'll answer Stacy's question. We do have lots of standards for all grade levels, all states, and even multiple countries. If you're having trouble finding them, just send us an email. And if for some reason we really don't have the standards in our database already, we can usually add those pretty quickly.
Absolutely. So to access a previous year in Planbook, you will just go to your plans page here. And from this center navigation panel, I'm going to hit my little school year drop down. It's got the school icon there. And then from that drop down is going to be all of my previous years. So I can then click on one and it'll take me right there to my previous year's plans. And that's how you can quickly navigate there.
Thank you, Shelby. Do you also mind saying the standards page again and just how to select that little plus icon to select the framework and the little plus icon to select the subjects?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on my plans page here and I can click into any lesson that I want. So I'll click into this multiplication math lesson here. From my standards tab, I am going to go on over to this little plus sign. And right now I've got the Oklahoma standards loaded in already, but I might not need Oklahoma. So I would hit this little plus sign here to add the frameworks that I'm looking for. So then it's going to bring up this little standards frameworks dialog box, and you can either sift through them this way, or you can always type in what you're looking for, select what you need, and then hit save. Same thing with your standard subjects. If you don't see what you need, you can hit this plus sign and navigate down, select the things that you need or search for them, and then it'll pull them up for you, and then you can hit save. And then from there, you can add the standards that you need, hit save one more time, and now you've got those in your lesson plan.
Thank you so much, Shelby. I was wondering if you could also show Elizabeth how to use that swap lesson feature under lesson actions.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and share. So if I go, let's see, I want to grab this lesson right here on the 27th. The very bottom, if I hit swap lesson, you're just going to enter the date that you want to swap it with here, and it'll just let you know which lesson that you're currently about to swap. So let's say that I want to switch it with maybe Thursday the 29th. I would hit swap. And now you can see that those two lessons have flip-flopped. I've got my day 1 here and my day 3 here. That's a great question.
Okay, we'll answer one more question before we move on for timing reason, but Allison's asking if we had a block schedule last year, but this year is daily, how do we change that? That sounds like it's also going to be under your school years page. So editing your current school year and then changing it from that cycle schedule to your daily schedule. You'll only be able to do this in your teacher created year. If you happen to have an admin year, your admin will have to change it for you. But you can see how that cycle schedule, Shelby could edit it if it's a current year to be on a weekly basis instead. Thank you all so much for the good questions at that section. Shelby, you want to continue on with the last bit of our presentation?
Absolutely. All right, guys, we just want to thank you again so much for joining us today. Again, me and Hannah are both former educators ourselves, along with Megan and Sarah, who were on earlier. So we have been there. We know how crazy the beginning of the school year is. So just thank you so much for being here. We did want to encourage you to take our survey today, just about the session, about the content of the session. And if you take the survey, you will be entered for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card, which again, great timing, beginning of the school year, just getting all the supplies for your classroom. So you guys can go ahead and scan that QR code. It's just a couple of questions on that survey. And yeah, again, we really appreciate your time today. And we appreciate you guys joining us. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and grab that QR code. If you pull up the camera on your phone, you can do it from there. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Hannah. Hannah has also dropped a link to the survey in the chat as well. So if you want to do it just straight from your laptop, you can do that also. And while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to drop some of our social media here for you. We have a pretty robust YouTube channel under @Planbook Support that you can visit. And we're actually going to have all of our recordings for Planbook Live linked on our YouTube page. So if you want to revisit anything that we talked about, you can access that on the YouTube page. We also have our knowledge base here, which is going to be all of our how-to articles and step-by-step instructions. If you're on socials, definitely follow us on Instagram. We are always posting tips and tricks for teachers as they're writing their plans. We also have a few Instagram giveaways in the works, so keep an eye out for those. And if you have any specific questions for your account or run into any trouble as you're planning, please feel free to either email us at support@planbook.com, or you can give us a call at 888-205-5528. And there is that QR code one more time for our survey. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you have a great, great start to your school year.